Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
Generally more optimistic. I generally believe things can work out. Generally believe I place, well, okay, fine. Maybe there's some nuance acquired there. I am generally optimistic about, I'm generally optimistic about my abilities to get things done. I am generally pessimistic about the world. Meaning that I am likely to ascribe, I'm likely to predict that bad things will happen in the future. But I am likely to predict that if I have control, I will be able to do, I'll be able to do good things. Yeah.
Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
I think I'm pretty optimistic. I'm pretty optimistic, but I'm not. I'm also a realist sometimes. And it's not like always the bright side. Independently that things are going down. Like if things are going down, I see them going down. But in general, I think that I'm pretty optimistic, especially. Which I think is quite important, especially when you haven't started doing something or something hasn't happened yet. I focus more first on the probability that it's going to work or that it's going to go well. I prepare for it not going well, and I think that keeps me optimistic because I know that even if it doesn't work, it will be okay. So that keeps me optimistic.
Yeah, makes sense. Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
Oh no, I'm way more pessimistic. In general, yeah. About life and stuff. Like our general human trajectory for the next 50 years. Human nature. And the thing is, I don't think I'm pessimistic. I think I'm realistic that human nature is or nature, actually, nature does not want us to be especially happy. Nature doesn't care. Nature wants us to make babies. That's it. So yeah. So perhaps pessimistic is not the right word. But yeah, no, I don't. I think I'm more pessimistic. But I've accepted it, which is why I'm okay, happy.
Yeah. Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
I'm quite optimistic scientifically. I'm currently, with respect to the world, I think I'm also probably more optimistic. I think even though things are very bad, right now, I feel that I see there are some very good paths that could go forward from where we are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of uncertainty, so, but I'm going to focus on the more positive futures. And so I'm definitely not fatalistic. Definitely don't think that, the world is going to hell and there's nothing we can do. I feel that there is a lot of uncertainty. There are good futures and bad futures, and I think with the rational mind one should list all of them. But from the activist perspective, it is better to focus on the positive scenarios.
Yeah. Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
Optimistic. I'm pretty sure. I will tend to just hope for the best and be relatively happy about, that state of mind, which is sort of I think it's a good thing in research if you want to try things that might not pan out, which I think is kind of a risk we need to accept. But sometimes also it means like, you might be wasting time that you wouldn't have if you were a little bit more realistic about the risks that you were taking. But But I think like my optimism generally fits well with my career choice. That is, I think it's a better thing to be like that if you want to try things that might not work.
Yeah. Are you more, you kind of answered this, but are you more optimistic or more pessimistic than people around you?
I think definitely optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it feeds in the happiness level. You gotta be optimistic to be happy, because otherwise it's so hard.
Yeah. Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
More pessimistic.
Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
Ooh, so that's a good question. More nihilistic, maybe. I don't know. The people around me are really active about changing the world. You know, they're like, my wife is a volunteer who helps people who don't have transportation get transportation by public transportation, and she's constantly trying to change everything and change the future. And me, I guess I'm less engaged in that way. Excuse me. And I think I'm probably not too optimistic about the future, but I'm not trying to face that much. So I guess less optimistic. Sorry to say.
Are you more optimistic or more pessimistic than people around you?
I think it depends on what is the thing that we are talking about. So if it is being able to like catch a train in the last minute, or just being able to go to a place in the last minute, I think I am more optimistic. Yes, we can do it, we can make it. But if it comes to things that are more serious, like research and anything, organizing something, I am more pessimistic. I feel like I need more time and I can't leave things to the last minute.
Yeah. Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
More optimistic.
Are you more optimistic or more pessimistic than people around you?
I like to think that I'm more realistic. I guess I think like optimism and pessimism imply like a passivity. So it's like an expectation on things that will happen that you don't have control over. I guess I keep coming back to that. But so I try to think about, like, if I don't like something, then like, is it something that I can change or that can be changed? And what are the steps that I would take to change it? And so I tend to think of things that way. And like, if I guess it's a kind of optimism, but a lot of times I try to do things that I know that are likely not to succeed, or that I might not be able to do it. That happens a lot in research and in many different, kinds of challenges that we take on. And the way that I look at it is that there's always like side positive benefits that come from challenges. And so there's always like certain ways that I know that I'm going to learn or to develop in some way, so that regardless of the outcome, then it will have been a good experience. But I don't really tend to think that much about predicting that this is going to work out well or not work out well. I mean, I guess I always do have expectations, but it's very like, I don't know. I guess I don't really think of it as optimism or pessimism.
Are you more optimistic or more pessimistic than people around you?
I would say that inherently I've been more pessimistic. I think that has helped me sometimes in my career, because I've always been like, oh no, this is not good enough, or this is not right enough. And especially for sending papers to these conferences, so we do these internal reviews, and I'm critical, and I tell people, look, you shouldn't feel bad about this. I'll try to be giving this to you in a good way, but it is the truth. And so all that critical thinking and looking at picking out the negative things has been helpful on that side of my life. But I do understand in my personal life, it's not always healthy. So I'm trying to develop a much more holistic view. That's been a process that's underway now.
Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
I try not to think about it in terms of optimism and pessimism, because I don't think there's any reason for things to be better. I mean, things to be better, generally takes hard work, but it's worth trying to aspire to a better state. And I think that process leaves you a happier person. So even if you try something hard, it doesn't work out, I think you should accept the consequences of it not having worked out. You shouldn't be doing it solely for the reward, but you shouldn't use pessimism as an excuse not to do things. Because you're going to be here, you're going to be around anyway. You may as well be, trying.
Yeah, you kind of already answered this, but I don't know if you want to add more to it. Are you more optimistic than people around you or more pessimistic?
I think I'm optimistic because I can, usually look at most situations and find some positive aspect of it, even if the overall sentiment of the situation is not so great. It's a good skill to have sometimes, but sometimes you're maybe like seeing positive things where they don't actually exist. So maybe not so great all the time.
Yeah. Are you more optimistic or more pessimistic than people around you?
Probably a bit more pessimistic. I think usually, I probably in the more pessimistic side.